We're back on Get Up, where we never forget football. Lamar Jackson reported to the first day of Ravens offseason workouts on Monday, seen working out at the facility as he prepares to head into the season with a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator. Want you to hear Shefty talking about how this could affect Lamar's contract situation on his podcast yesterday. Listen.
A lot of people saying, well, how does this affect his contract? It doesn't. The contract is working on Lamar's timeline. When Lamar Jackson wants to do a deal, the Ravens are ready, willing, and open to do a new deal. Lamar Jackson, to this point, hasn't been there yet for whatever reason. So one day when Lamar decides that he's ready to move on a deal, he will be. But he's there for the start of the offseason program. That's how it should be, and the two sides now can move forward together.
All right, so moving forward together into this season, of that there is no question. But Harry Douglas, Mel Kiper Jr., and Lewis are with me here this morning. I've had an increasing number of people, just little kind of offhanded comments, Lewis, talking about how it's not inconceivable, reading some tea leaves, that we could be heading into Lamar Jackson's final season as a Raven, which might sound shocking, but is it completely out of the question?
No, it's not out of the question for a number of different reasons. Look, the Ravens are up against the cap here in the future, especially when you're talking about the 27 cap. They're 20 million plus over the cap right now projected. Lamar's cap number from this year to next goes from like 34 to 84. They need to get that down. They need to get a long-term extension in place, which obviously for Lamar, he's saying, hey, look, you know what I'm all about? Long-term extensions. I want a lot of money, and he's going to want a big number. But it takes two to tango, right? And you hear what Shefty's just saying right now. Lamar does his own contracts, right? So he is on his timeline right now. So, look, there's always the possibility that Steve Bisciotti says, hey, look, this isn't working. This isn't moving the way in which I want it to move. His dead cap number comes down for 27. It's much more palatable. Is it possible that they could deal Lamar Jackson? Of course it's possible. This is business. This is big business. And sometimes, the numbers are finite. You can't just continue. They can't have him on the roster in 27 at a cap number that's above $80 million. They can't have it. So, yeah, this is going to be one to bear watching. I think Shefty is on to something here. I don't think it's a guarantee.
Mel, you make your home there in Baltimore, so you're pretty close to the situation. How do you see it?
You're a reckoning for Lamar. Get this team into the playoffs, play well in the playoffs, which Lamar hasn't. Get this team to a Super Bowl, which we thought would happen last year, didn't. And then, obviously, we're off to the races with Lamar moving forward. If things don't go well, keep in mind, 2027 potentially loaded with outstanding quarterbacks. We thought this would be the year of the quarterback. It didn't materialize. It fizzled, right? Next year, you got Arch. You got Dante Moore at Oregon, right? You got a host of others. Keep in mind, Eric DeCosta, GM, outstanding evaluator, has done a great job with quarterbacks in Baltimore, right? Joe Flacco. Didn't have to be a top 5 pick to get Joe. Got him right off the middle of the first round. Lamar traded back into the first round to get pick 32, got Lamar Jackson. They have a history of being able to identify quarterbacks. They don't have to be picking in the top 10 to get them. I do think in 2027, if things don't go well, the Ravens will draft a quarterback in round 1.
It'd be really interesting. There's so much at stake here as this franchise moves forward in a new direction at coach this year. And Harry, you have another way of looking at it as well, as far as what Lamar might be waiting for.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson and his camp, I believe they understand exactly what the financials could be for his next contract. It wasn't too long ago, Greeny. Remember, Lamar Jackson was trying to get that guaranteed contract, and Steve Bisciotti and company didn't give it to him. The Baltimore Ravens said, no, we're not going to do what the Cleveland Browns did in the Haslams. So moving forward, you say the salary cap is going to go up in 2027. Here's another angle to look at it. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, all these guys are going to be eligible for extensions in 2027. I believe Lamar Jackson wants to be the highest paid, not just quarterback in the National Football League, but player of all time. I believe that's what he's waiting on.
Okay, and so all these angles make sense. It bears watching. It's a fascinating season. And again, I'll underline, got off to as good a start as it could with Lamar Jackson being there for the first day of off-season workouts. Meanwhile, the Raiders' off-season workouts are officially underway under their new head coach, Klint Kubiak. The projected number 1 pick in the draft is Fernando Mendoza. He visited the team yesterday. There aren't any questions about whether they will take him or not, but the acquisition of Kirk Cousins makes it interesting. There are some questions about the fit there and all the rest of that. And that, I think, is really the only part of this that is worth diving into here. Mel, do you see Mendoza as being a guy who will be playing early, or playing right when he steps off the plane, if you will, or with Kirk Cousins there now, what do you expect to see from Mendoza in his rookie year?
all these rookie quarterbacks play, right? Think about Cam, you think about Dart, you think about Shador, you think about Shuck. They all play, right? And I think with Kirk, he was competing with Michael Penix Jr. Now he's the mentor for Fernando Mendoza. He knows Mendoza's the franchise quarterback. He's there to teach him the ropes. If he has to play 4, 5, 6 games, fine. If Mendoza's ready for game one, he'll be out there. But at some point, either right away or early to mid, Fernando Mendoza is going to be the quarterback. They're never going to look back, and they feel they have the quarterback to get the Raiders back to where they want to be. So, no, he won't have to wait long to be the starter there. Kirk Cousins then will become the guy that becomes basically an extension of the coaching staff for Fernando Mendoza.
So Mendoza is one of his superpowers, clearly, is his brain, his ability to process, all that kind of stuff. But it is going to be an adjustment. I want to show this number. It came up the other day, Cindy. If we could put it up there, because Klint Kubiak is the new coach. And more than half of the snaps that his teams have run over the course of the last few years have come from under center. Fernando Mendoza, in his entire college career, attempted 5 passes from under center. Lewis, it's an adjustment. How significant is it? Some will look at it and say, doesn't seem like a good fit for that offense. How concerned should anyone be?
I don't think they should be concerned very much at all. Look, you think Klint Kubiak doesn't know the numbers for Fernando Mendoza in terms of the number of snaps he's taken under center? You think right now if he thought this guy cannot fit into my offense and or I'm unwilling to make some adjustments to my offense, especially early on, to get him comfortable, you think they would still be considering taking him number 1 overall? Of course not. Number 2, Fernando's been working with Brian Griese, okay? The ex-quarterback coach for the San Francisco 49ers, the guy who's responsible for getting Brock Purdy to San Francisco, who played in this offense his entire career. Fernando has been working diligently. Griese communicated to me that he's picking it up very quickly. Very quickly. You saw him at his pro day.
Yeah.
He looks more and more comfortable. Now, that's not 11 on 11, but Fernando's maniacally committed to this whole process. He'll be just fine.
Harry, how do you see it as far as that part of it is concerned?
I think he's going to be fine, Greeny, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people make more of a big deal about it. But when you look at these collegiate kids when they come to the National Football League, majority of them don't play on the center anymore because it's that fast-paced offense at the collegiate level when they're in shotgun. They're looking over to the side to see signals, to see what play they're going to run. But when I look at this guy, Fernando Mendoza, I think he has the makeup to learn to play under center on a consistent basis. Also, keep in mind, Caleb Williams didn't play a lot under center when he was in college. Drake May didn't play a lot under center when he was in college. But you know what both of those guys had? A play caller that demanded those guys to go under center in the National Football League. That's going to be Klint Kubiak, while also figuring out, hey, Fernando Mendoza did this well at Indiana. Let's incorporate this into our system as well. So I believe he's going to be just fine.
It's also another reason why the acquisition of Cousins, I think, is so smart. Let Mendoza figure it out at whatever pace it works. You have Cousins there to pick up the slack. In the meantime, we've got the first giant problem of the John Harbaugh